Welcome back, LEAPcast listeners. This is a bonus episode called LEAPswap, where I swap my mic with my guest. The guest, who is now the host, can ask me anything. Tune in for a rich discussion on life, mental health, relationships, family, and more. Once again, everybody, this is LEAPcast, and this is a part of our podcast where we do something a little bit different. We call this LEAPswap, where I turn over the host role to our guest, Christie Ileto. Once again, she is amazing, and she is AP and Emmy Award-winning journalist. So it's now you're in your control to be the host, and I'm here willing to answer whatever you want to ask.
So, Dr. James, your job is to listen to other people and to, I guess, give advice to help them work through whatever it is that they're dealing with. Do you have anybody that you have to speak with when you're going through something, or that or is there anything that you do to give yourself a daily check-in on your mental well-being?
It's a great question, and it's actually been an important part of my life. I've had mentors, guides, advisors that are really significant in my life, and two in particular, two men in particular that have been instrumental, where I've been able to talk about my ups and downs. One particular has done a lot around career stuff, and it's not just like, oh, what move should I make? It could be like, I'm struggling, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm not sure, and I've been able to really talk through, and he's been amazing. And then another where I've been able to talk through even more deeper personal things that like people come to me and talk about. And in particular, I've been able to talk about like sometimes things that are important to me, the intersection of like, how did this happen, and what does this mean, and or what should I do, or I'm struggling with some of these thoughts and ideas. And I remember even like after my dad passed a few years ago, being able to just talk through some of that, and that was really helpful and has prepared me for even the things that I've had to go through. So I have people, in particular, I have a small group of mentors, advisors, guides, people that, as people say, I can go sit on their couch, and they really help me. And then other than that, some of my practices is that I realize that taking breaks, getaways is so important for me that if not, I just there's just too much that's going on. So I will either have, especially before the pandemic, have about a break, maybe 6 or 8 weeks, even if that's like a half a day or a whole day or a weekend or a full vacation. With the pandemic, it wasn't as easy, but figured out a way how to still take a day off or some time off or even travel.
Do you ever find yourself in a situation where you're not following the advice that you're giving to your clients?
That's a great question. And yes, all the time. Uh, what I mean by that is that I recognize that I'm human, and I try to encourage my clients to think about things and move forward. But I also know that those things are tough. Like, for instance, I'm often trying to encourage my clients to pay attention to their negative self talk and the story that they tell themselves about who they are. Well, I have my own negative self talk and my own story, and I have to fight against those things. And before, I don't think I was as good at it. I think I'm much better, where I can at least hold myself accountable, and try to shift. But yeah, there's sometimes I'm telling my client something and I'm like, no, I didn't do that today. And actually, for me in particular, I'm so big on trying to do what I encourage my clients to say. It does hold me accountable, and then I'm like, I'm then having to work on it and to face it, instead of just trying to ignore it.
Nice. So, how important do you think being self-aware is?
I think self-awareness is huge. I mean, like even from, and you might know this from probably from your experience, just even in a conversation. You ever like talk to somebody and they just talk and talk and talk and talk and then don't stop, and then you're like, hey, just Give me a moment. Let me get in. I think that's just an example of self-awareness. Are you aware that you've been talking for 10 minutes and you didn't like let the other person in? And as simple as that might sound, that's a way of saying, do I acknowledge my own part that I'm playing, and am I leaving space for somebody else? And I didn't realize how much of that my training, my experiences, my conversations with other people have allowed me to develop is a better self-awareness. And I think that's often what I'm trying to encourage my clients to do, is to be self-aware so that they can work on whatever situation that they're working on.
I think those are all my questions.
Well, look, I appreciate that. You put me on the hot seat real quick.
No, I didn't.
No, I mean, I think those are really great questions, because I think people think of a therapist and they're like, "What are you doing? Are you practicing these things?" Because it is important to be able to trust somebody, or to know, like, are you just telling me what you read out of a book, or are these things that are real that you would even do in your own life? And so I'm grateful for that, and I love your self-awareness question. So thanks for being willing to participate in LEAPswap. And once again, thank you so much for being a guest on LEAPcast, where we examine unexplored moments that people go through, that human moments that people experience, especially of high achievers. So thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for doing the LEAPswap.
Thanks for having me, George.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to LEAPswap. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you have more questions for either me or my guest, please head to the LEAPcast Facebook group to ask. Visit theleapcast.com/Facebook to get started.